Welcome to another presentation of Under the Microscope. Today, I want us to take a close look at the phenomenon known as Un-American activity. Have you ever heard of the House Un-American Activities Committee? It does exist. It was created in 1938 to investigate alleged disloyalty and rebel activities on the part of private citizens, public employees, and organizations suspected of having communist ties. I get that, but there were and still are un-American activities that plague our nation, and these activities were and still are allowed by the United States government. Just look at the atrocities that are carried out against non-whites and women, to mention a few. What's wrong with this picture? When I first heard of the Un-American Activities Committee, my first thought was, if it's un-American, it should not be allowed to take place on American soil. As I examined this phenomenon a little more closely, I began to understand that there is quite a bit of selective assessment when it comes to deciding what is un-American and what is not. For instance, it is not all right to oppress certain American citizens in any way, form, or fashion. Yet for some other groups of American citizens, you can treat them in the most undignified ways with impunity. You can deny them employment, adequate housing, sufficient medical care, etc., and lip service, if that is all those oppressed groups receive, telling us what we already know. The system is broken and needs fixing. That response in and of itself is un-American. The Agency for Un-American Activities obviously was established to cater to the whims of one group of citizens, the haves. The have-nots are of no real significance. We generally point to the more obvious infractions, but please consider these that are rarely, if ever, mentioned. For instance, asking an American soldier to risk his or her life on foreign soil to protect an American democracy that is questionable at best. And when that soldier returns home, he loses his home to an American bank, loses his family, and often winds up homeless and destitute. That's un-American. For an American bank to be allowed to squeeze the very financial life out of that American soldier with impunity, that's un-American. Allowing that soldier to suffer long-term illness that he or she suffers because of war, and sometimes dying because of no or inadequate medical care, that's un-American. To allow big business to pay low wages to struggling, hardworking Americans whose labors produce billions of dollars annually for their employers, that's un-American. To allow multi-billion-dollar companies to ship raw materials overseas where labor is dirt cheap and then sell a foreign-made product in America under the false label of Made in America at a price that is hundreds, if not thousands of times what the actual cost was to make that product, that's un-American. To allow contractors to rip American citizens off without making those contractors pay their customers for their losses, that's un-American. For these same contractors to get busted and then be allowed to reopen under another company name to repeat their filthy crimes, that's un-American. And the list goes on. Just add your own un-American experience to the list, and maybe, just maybe, Some elected official somewhere will get the point before we're all dead and will work to make America the America she is supposed to be, but has not yet become. Just another Mackian observation. Thanks for listening. Follow me on Facebook at Under the Macroscope. You may also follow me on YouTube at MacRay. Please subscribe and share. And if you wish, you can make a contribution of your choosing by using the QR code on the screen. See you next time. And remember, under the macroscope, we take a closer look.